Hello and welcome to Songs for the Struggling Artist, the blogcast. This is episode 410. My name is Emily Rainbow Davis. I am back at home in front of my regular old mic, so the sound has potentially returned to normal, although it sounds like there may be a helicopter flying above just now, which is normal, I guess. Can you hear that? Yeah, that's a helicopter. I decided to pause and give you a break from that helicopter. It has now passed. So here we are in a more quiet moment with the good old mic and the occasional helicopter, the occasional train. That's New York City for you. Anyway, as you may have gathered, I was traveling a lot this summer, which was very nice. And now I'm back here in New York. And what we're going to give to you today is a blog about traveling. Since that's something I was doing. And is there anything I need to do to prepare you for this? Oh, if you haven't heard the blog from like 2 episodes ago, the medical device I'm referencing here is a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor. So if you're like, what is she talking about? That's what it is. It's a CGM. And maybe I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. But meanwhile, here it is. It is called Female Opt-Out. Now that I have an expensive piece of medical tech installed in my arm, I can no longer go through the body scan when I go through airport security. I flew out of JFK, which, as usual, was an absolute zoo. And when I finally got to the scanning portion of the proceedings, I tried to explain the issue. When they understood, the man shouted, "Opt out!" and called for female agent. The pat-down I then received was so thorough, it felt punitive. Like, was it really necessary to run your hand between my waistband and my skin? Do you really have to get right up in the inseam? How well do you really need to feel my underwires? But it was my first time going through airport security with my new medical condition, so I was just glad they didn't destroy my device. On the way back to the States, flying out of Vancouver, I psyched myself up for the now expected overly intimate pat-down. But it was just a normal pat-down this time. No one seemed mad at me for requesting it. No one was put out, and no one took it out on my body. It was just a perfectly reasonable pat-down. And I'm not saying the one at JFK was an agent out of line. Quite the contrary, she seemed to be vigorously following procedure as she loudly announced everything she was going to do before she did it. I have no doubt that this is how the TSA agents in New York City are trained to do their jobs. But it is clearly not the international standard. My pat-down at JFK seemed to be designed to discourage people from choosing it, while my pat-down in Vancouver just felt like a pat-down. Like any pat-down I've experienced before when I set off the metal detector, which I do, almost every time. I assume it's my underwires. Good thing that TSA agent checked them. I felt infinitely more respected by an international security team than by one in my own country. American security treats everyone as a threat, and it doesn't feel good. At JFK, I felt as though they designed their pat-down to dissuade people from asking for it. But I can't imagine anyone chooses it just for fun. Most of us don't have a choice about it. Their machines could damage my medical tech. I can't use their machines just for the convenience of the TSA. I watched a woman in a wheelchair compelled to stand and then, again, compelled to remove her shoes while standing, despite being incredibly unsteady on her feet. What's it going to take to get some compassion for vulnerable people going in these environments? What do we need to do to have our airports be as kind as Canadian airports? Also, I realized later that everyone assumed gender when folks came through and asked for a non-machine screening. Do they do this for everyone? I can't imagine how many times a day they misgender people in this scenario. My plane was delayed, so I missed my connecting flight as well as any subsequent flight to my destination. So I had to leave the Chicago airport to spend the night in a hotel and came back through security the next morning, something I was not looking forward to doing. Turns out the Chicago TSA agents received the same training as the ones at JFK. This one was almost worse, though, as I stood there, off to the side, while an agent shouted, "Female opt-out!" every 2 minutes or so. I was separated from all my things, so I don't know how long I stood there watching multitudes pass through, maybe 15 minutes. I watched several people in wheelchairs wobble through security while I waited, barefoot, by the machine. All I wanted to do was offer an arm to lean on, but I knew that would only get us both in trouble, so I just stood by helplessly watching unstable bodies just barely make it through the machine. Also, side note, both times with the American pat-down, I was instructed to stand with my feet shoulder-width apart, and the first time, I put my feet directly beneath my shoulders, which is a more or less neutral stance. I was instructed to spread them wider, and I wanted to object to the idea of the location of the shoulders in relationship to the feet, but I figured it was not the time to argue body mechanics. And when the Chicago TSA agent told me to put my feet shoulder width apart, I just did what the New York agent had aimed for. I didn't have to make an adjustment, so I assume that's what everyone meant by shoulder width. So funny. I flew home from a small city airport a few days later, and while the pat-down was still extensive, in what I now assume is the American style, it was very much more polite. I'm glad to see small cities in the Midwest doing things in a more polite, shall we say, almost Canadian way. I got a number of comments on this one, more than I usually do, and one of them was like a tip from someone who has to go through security with a pacemaker. And she was like, "Oh, you can just go through the machines." And I was like, "Yeah, a CGM is different than a pacemaker, actually." It's like they run different. They work in different ways. She was like, "I just have to tell them that I have it." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I think the thing of it is these things, it's like really, I don't know. I don't know what the tech is exactly. I'm guessing there's some kind of radio wave or whatever. Like my device is communicating with my phone through Bluetooth. There's probably some like digital something that the radio waves, or I'm sure they're not radio waves. I don't know. Anyway, different devices are different. Yeah, so crazy. It's not a good time, I will say. I will say that. I feel like next time maybe I should like time my traveling at a time where I can like be between devices so like I could travel without it. But that is some super granular planning that I can't imagine I would actually do. Maybe, but it's something to consider. So, what song, you may wonder, will go with this airport security adventure? Well, believe it or not, there is a song called Airport Security that I did consider and find the chords for. I couldn't really connect to it somehow, but it does exist. And shockingly, I looked up opt-out, because that's what they labeled me as, an opt-out. I did look up opt-out, and there were a lot of songs called opt-out, but they were all pretty much like mostly instrumentals or like kind of single line repetitions or like kind of moody meditations on something. They weren't actual songs about opting out, but they were more than I expected. I was like, I'll just go ahead and search and see if and they're like on Spotify, for example, it was just like pages of results of opt-outs. And I listened to a lot of them. And then I was like, oh, I see a theme. I'm already bored. I am not listening to any more of these. So, and then I searched Pat Down, and there were, I think, 3 or 4 Pat Down songs. And the one that I chose it's a very I don't know. I don't know how to describe this song. You will hear when I perform it for you briefly in moments ahead. Anticipate it, if you will. It is a song by someone called Phoebe, Faybee. And the thing is, I don't think this is a very popular song. It appears to be her most popular song of all her songs. But I did notice on YouTube, the video had a little over 7,000 views, which, yes, for me would be, wow, I went viral, super popular. You know, those are big numbers for me, but not for, say, you know, Taylor Swift or many other people. And I just looked on Spotify, and it looks like this song, again, it's her hit, her hit song, has 33,000 listens on Spotify. So that's pretty good. Again, not, you know, huge numbers. So my special request for you, I feel like I want to like give this woman a boost since I'm covering her song. Like I couldn't find the lyrics or the chords anywhere. Like I had to sort of do it old school and, you know, just listen over and over again. So I will get some lyrics wrong because I have no idea what she's saying in a few places. But in any case, I feel because, you know, she's not a giant of the numbers. I feel like I would like for her to get a few more numbers just because of this. So if you would please look her up on Spotify or on YouTube, Faybee, Faybee, and give her another number if you can. She certainly got a lot from me on both those locations because I had to listen to it many times in order to A, figure out the lyrics, B, figure out the chords, C, just kind of like get it into my head. So I feel like I boosted personally her numbers a bit, and it would be cool if we could boost them a little bit more. I don't know anything about her, but she wrote a song called Pat Down that I enjoyed very thoroughly. So I will play that for you in a moment on ukulele. Meanwhile, thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, I mean, awesome. Please tell someone about it. Like, review, subscribe, all those things. If you would like to support it with your dollars, yes, please. Patreon.com/Emily R. Davis. Ko-fi, PayPal, all those links are in the show notes. You could also subscribe on Substack to the blog, and that'll also give me some support, especially if you do a paid subscription. And if you have a place that you like to support artists and I'm not on it, tell me about it and I will join. Mostly, thank you for listening. I really, really appreciate it. It is great to have your ears here with me. And that said, I shall now give you I don't know how old Phoebe is. I assume she is Gen Z, and it feels to me like Gen Z. I don't know. And I enjoy stepping into those shoes for the afternoon. So here it is. One other thing about this. So there's a line about a pat down, which is how this song ended up here in my pat down blog post. And there's also a thing about tapping out, which made me think about opting out. So tapping out / opting out and the pat down is really why this song won over all the others. Yeah. Oh, and side note, the other thing somebody was like, oh, what are you saying to them? I mean, maybe they don't like the phrase female opt-out. And I was like, oh, no, that's what they called me. I would not have ever said that. I just was like, hi, I have a medical device. That means I can't go through the machine. You know, anyway. And then they just shout, female opt-out. Anyway. So rather than just scream female opt-out at you for 15 minutes, I thought I'd play you this sweet Gen Z song by Phoebe, Pat Down. I can feel it. Can you feel it now? I can feel it. I can show you how. Throw it back, throw it back, throw it back now. Make it last, make it last, make it last now. Do a dance, make me laugh, make me tap out. Baby, can you feel me like a pat down? Throw it back, throw it back, throw it back now. Make it last, make it last, make it last now. Do a dance, make me laugh, make me tap out. Baby, can you feel me like a pat down? You say I'm kinda cold, you like that? Baby, if I bite, would you bite back? Make it sweet to me, I like 3. You can hype that, send away spree. What a cost, what a price tag. Said it's all yours, throw it back to me, back. You can let it go, make it tap, it's a wrap. Now we on the road, keep the blinds up. Gotta let them know when we get it on, we put on a show. Yeah, my body hot, but this bottle cold. Now I'm on the top, nowhere else to go. Player on the field, gonna reach the goal. Baron on the goal to the soul. Bench in the park, got 'em working with a glove. Yeah, keep it tight, I keep it nice and curvy. Like the way our bellies, that'll never cure me. I can feel it. Can you feel it now? I can feel it. I can show you how. Throw it back, throw it back, throw it back now. Make it last, make it last, make it last now. Do a dance, make me laugh, make me tap out. Baby, can you feel me like a pat down? Throw it back, throw it back, throw it back now. Make it last, make it last, make it last now. Do a dance, make me laugh, make me tap out. Baby, can you feel me like a pat down? I love it when you're eating. Got me writing poems when you know how to treat it. Send a little pic, something sick, we'll delete it. Always got it there when I seen, when I need it. Yeah, and I really, really need it. Way you talking got me thinking that you really mean it. Tell him I'm a star, see? Now believe it. Take it from the top, make it drop. Now we lean in. Throw it back, throw it back, throw it back now. Make it last, make it last, make it last now. Do a dance, make me laugh, make me tap out. Baby, can you feel me like a pat down? Throw it back, throw it back, throw it back now. Make it last, make it last, make it last now. Do a dance, make me laugh, make me tap out. Baby, can you feel me like a pat down? I can't help the way I feel when you're feeling, boy. I can't help the way I feel when you're feeling, boy. I can't help the way I feel when you're feeling, boy. Yeah, keep it tight, keep it nice and curvy. Like the way her belly's, that'll never cure me.